So let's talk about how to find impossible hotel awards with Rooms.Aero because I know that sometimes there are places I want to stay and finding availability can seem almost impossible. Like I'll search a bunch of different sets of dates and I can't find the awards I want. I'm pretty flexible. I don't really care when I travel, but it's hard to find availability at some of the most desirable places. What can I do?
Yeah. So Rooms.Aero is a tool that it's a completely free tool that makes it actually really easy to do what you're talking about. Um, and so I'm going to show you how to do that. All right. The first thing I'm going to show is how to find SLH properties, small luxury hotels of the world. If you remember, Hilton partners with them, but Hilton's website doesn't do a great job of showing when the property is available to book with Hilton points or free night certificates. So this tool is really invaluable for that. So the way to find an SLH property you're interested in is to pick Hilton Honors from the hotel's menu and wait for the search box to appear over here and type in the name of the hotel. So in this case, I'm going to show you how to find Hermitage Bay, which is in Antigua and Barbuda. I don't know if that's the right way to say that. And
Barbuda,
click,
I don't know.
and then click Find Rooms. So now on first blush, it looks like there's not much there, right? It looks like there are only 2 days. This is searching across an entire year. That there's only 2 days where you can book with Hilton points, and the number of points required are astronomical, right?
1.3 million.
1.3
Woo!
million points per night. So that's really depressing, right?
Right.
But if you look up here, it shows you that there are only two nights available with one night stays, but there are 282 nights available where if you do 3 nights or more. And that's because a lot of hotels require a number of nights to be booked at once in order to show any availability at all. And so it's really easy to adjust here. Just change from 1 night to 3 nights, and boom, a whole lot more has shown up here. But there's still a problem, right? What we're seeing are these what are they called, premium room awards, something like that, that Hilton has, um, where you can book rooms even when standard rooms aren't available. And so that's why these prices are so high, over 1 million points per night. But again, Rooms.Aero to the rescue, because what you can do is filter to where it is under 150,000 points. Um,
Why did
and
you pick under
boom,
150,000?
how did I pick under 150,000? Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
So,
Or
well,
why?
for one thing, that's as far
Hmm.
as this drop down selector goes.
Hmm.
But the better reason is that Hilton prices all of their hotels in their entire portfolio. The maximum price they charge for when a standard room is available is 150,000 points. And so by picking this, even though it says under 150,000, what you're really doing is filtering to where it's equal to or under 150,000 points per night. And so now we found a number of dates where this hotel is available for booking a suite for 130,000 points. And you can look at these cash prices to see exactly how much value you're getting here, which is really, really good.
Yeah, because those are rates
And
per night, right? So if you're looking at 3 nights, you're talking about a room that would cost 6 to 9 grand based on those prices, right?
exactly. And you can book these with Hilton points or with Hilton free night certificates as well. So you can just get incredible value that way. And it's amazing because if you tried using Hilton's award calendar to find this, it would just show no dates are available. And you also wouldn't know to look for a minimum of 3 nights in a row. And so even if you happen to pick a date like, May 5th as your starting point, if you only picked 1 or 2 nights, it would show you on Hilton's site that there's nothing available, whereas this lets you know that there is. Um, One thing I do need to mention is that all of this data is cached, meaning that the searches were run in the past and stored so that they can come up quickly, the way I was showing. Um, if you and the downside of that means that some of these results could be out of date. You could go to book this stay on May 5th, for 3 nights and find that it's not actually available. Um, so if you need to, if you pay for the premium version of the companion tool called Seats.Aero, you can actually you'll actually see a button then to refresh this hotel. And you can refresh up to one hotel per day as a premium member. And so that's really cool because then if there's one particular property that you're really eager to stay at and you want to see everything, you can force it to refresh. The other thing is if you have a premium version, you could also set alerts in case the dates you want to stay aren't available.
Very cool. So that'll enable you to find something pretty quickly at a glance that's probably available that you would very unlikely find unless you were doing, just happen to luck on one of these dates. I mean, if you look at these sets of dates, they're in many cases fairly spread out where you would have had to have just lucked on the right check-in day and looked for a stay of at least 3 days in order to find one of these. So this really dramatically reduces the amount of time you'll have to spend hunting and pecking and searching for an SLH property on the Hilton website.
That's exactly right. All right. So that was Hilton. And you could do that, of course, not just with SLH properties, but Hilton properties as well. Let's take a look at Marriott. Marriott there's a hotel in northern Michigan called the Inn at Bay Harbor that I like to stay at. But I like to stay at it in the summertime. And it's not always available for points in the summertime. And so, again, Rooms.Aero makes it really easy to find when it's available. And you'll see it has a similar pattern to the last hotel we looked at in that there is more availability for 3-night stays than 2-night stays. And there's more availability for 2-night stays than 1-night stays. I know in my experience that most of the summer is only available for 3-night stays or more, and that's what's happening here. And so, of course, that's what I would want. So I would switch to 3 nights, and say it's actually filtering to nights that are bookable with a reasonable number of points right from the get-go. So that's fine. And if you want to look for a particular date, you can search for by arrival date and then scroll through till you find what you want. Or what you could do is put in the search tool 2025 dash, let's say you want to stay in June, put 06, and it instantly filters to the dates in June that are available to book. Again, though, it's important to point out that these results were cached before, and some of them were cached quite a while ago. So it's definitely worth, if you have the premium version and you're interested in booking this hotel, you're going to want to refresh this one. And I guess I should warn you, the refresh does not happen immediately. You'll want to come back like hours later to check it again after you refresh.
Yeah, and in a case like this where it's 4 or 5 sets of dates, then maybe it's even worth just going to Marriott.com and running the searches for each of those sets of dates, because now you know at least where to start to look to see if it's available so you can cross-check it.
Actually, that's exactly right. That's in fact what I would normally do. Is I would have learned from this that 3-night stays are more likely than 2-night stays, and so then I would go to Marriott, and their award search calendar lets you pick how many nights you want, and so you pick 3 or 5 maybe if you're looking for using their 5th night free rewards, and then you can pull up their flexible date calendar and find the awards for the summer.
Worth noting here, maybe even though we're past the Hilton section, that I have not found the Hilton flexible date calendar as reliable. So that's why this Rooms.Aero is incredibly useful for Hilton, particularly because if you had looked for a 3-night stay at that Hermitage Bay property and checked the flexible date calendar on Hilton's site, I would bet that none of those would have shown up as available. But if you search for the specific sets of dates on the Hilton website, then you will find probably the same dates available that Rooms.Aero shows, assuming that the data isn't too old and too cached. Marriott site tends to be a little bit better, so you probably could now put in a June, 3 or 4 night stay or whatever it is you want and check the flexible calendar. But even if that flexible calendar didn't come up with availability, I'd probably still just manually run a search from June 20th for 3 nights and see, because the data from Rooms.Aero tends to be on when it's on. Of course, like we said, it could be out of date. Maybe somebody else already scooped those dates up. And certainly by the time this video publishes, I would expect that some of those dates are scooped up. So don't expect that these specific ones will be available, but rather Greg's showing you how to use the tool.
Exactly. One more thing about Marriott's flexible date calendar is that I find it to be pretty accurate if it shows any availability at all. But sometimes, even when there is availability, it'll show none at all. And so, if you can't find any at all, then it's probably messed up, and you should look at specific dates or come to a tool like this to find what you want.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that's Hilton and Marriott. Can you use this tool with other programs as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at IHG. And with IHG, I'm gonna bring up a different use case here. Instead of looking for a hotel that's hardly ever available with points and showing how to find it, another thing that we often want to do with IHG is find hotels, specific hotels, and when they're available cheaply. Specifically, like a lot of us have that old IHG Select card that has every year it gives you a 40,000 point free night certificate, which is not top offable, meaning if a hotel costs 45,000 points, you can't use that certificate at all. So it's good if you're in that situation to be able to find when hotels are available for 40,000 points or less. And Rooms.Aero makes that really easy. So let's look at the Intercontinental Chicago.
Yeah, and so just to add a little bit of clarity to what Greg said, if you've got a newer IHG Premier card, then the free night certificate that comes with that card can be topped off with additional points. What Greg's talking about is those of us that have that old card that only costs $49 a year that get a free night certificate that can't be topped off. So if you don't know that you have one of these, probably you don't. But for people that do have them, this can be really useful, because I get one of these every year, a 40K free night certificate that I can't add points to. So I've got to find a place that costs 40,000 points or fewer in order to be able to use it.
Yeah. And another reason you might want to do this is if you have a limited number of points and you're trying to find when you can use those points. Anyway, so I brought up the Intercontinental Chicago Magnificent Mile. And as you can see, the first results cost around 50,000 points or more. You're seeing, 59,000 points for a night, 79,000, and so on. And super easy, though, to filter to under 40,000. And that really means equal to or under 40,000. And boom, we can see a whole bunch. There's pages and pages of results here. You can change to 100 rows per page if you want to scroll around more. You can sort by arrival date just by clicking up here. And then, as I showed before, let's say you want to go maybe next May. You could put in 2025-05, and you see there are 2 dates in May that you could use that free night certificate.
Yeah. Now, I want to add one more piece of color commentary to this, and that is that this is an awesome point to search if you're looking for an awesome source anyway, if you're looking for those points that cost, or those nights that cost 40,000 points or fewer. But I have previously written about the fact that sometimes IHG will still show a night available with a free night certificate, even when a points night isn't available. So if you have one of those free night certificates and you have a specific date in mind and it's not available here on Rooms.Aero, and I don't mean that it's available for 79,000 points. I mean, if it just doesn't show up as available, it can be worth checking anyway, logging into your IHG account and making sure that you're choosing out of the dropdown the Chase free night, because again, I've in the past found situations where there were no rooms available for awards, but when I ran a search with the Chase free night, there was a room available. So that specific one is different than most of the other hotel free night certificates where you have to search in a specific way to see the availability for the cert. This is a great shorthand way of finding nights that cost 40,000 points or fewer that should almost definitely be available or definitely be available with your free night certificate. But occasionally there may be some additional situations beyond that where you can use a free night certificate. I would doubt with this specific property that'll be the case, but in some cases it might be.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point. And want to point out too that Rooms.Aero, I'm just showing like a subset of what it can do. It also has a tools menu with different like tools, including a Marriott certificate finder. Maybe someday they'll add an IHG certificate finder and make it easier to find when those certificates can be used. In the meantime, this is about the best we can do. That
Mm-hmm.
if the room is available for 40,000 points or less, it's almost certainly bookable with the certificate. If it's not available at all, there's a small chance it will be bookable with the certificate. But
Very small.
right now, I don't know of any tool that would help you
Yeah.
find it other than poking around different dates. Last one, Hyatt. Hyatt Hyatt is probably the hardest program to find free nights at very popular hotels because they don't have an award search calendar of their own at all, let alone one that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, which is the case with Marriott and Hilton. So this tool makes it very easy. So let's switch under hotels to World of Hyatt. And then once the search box comes up, I'm going to look up the Hotel Ventana Big Sur. Alila Ventana Big Sur is down here, and find rooms. Okay. Now, what you're seeing right away is that the first results are where only suites are available for 90,000 points per night. And that's obviously very expensive with points. So what if what you really want is to find standard rooms, standard room availability? This particular property is a Category 8 Hyatt at the time of recording this, and that means that a standard room at in peak pricing is 45,000 points, if I'm remembering right. So let's just look for any times where a room is available for under 50,000 points. And we're seeing nothing, but maybe since there's more stays available for 2 or 3 nights, maybe we can find one available for 2 or 3 nights. And boom, actually at 2 nights, quite a few appeared, and I bet even more appear at 3 nights. So if you're willing to do 2 or 3 nights or more, it's actually pretty easy to find award availability at this particular hotel.
That's awesome. That's super useful because it's hard to know sometimes what the minimum stay requirements might be from one Hyatt hotel to another in order to find award availability, but some of them certainly do have that minimum stay requirement. Another nice tip for Hyatt is that if you have a free night certificate, let's say you have a category 1 to 7 free night certificate, that won't be applicable at this property because this is a category 8. But if you were looking at a category 7 property and you find that it's only available for 2 nights, for instance, as an award, well, you have a pay my way option on the Hyatt website in order to pick and choose and use your free night certificate for one night and use points for the other night. So it is possible still to use that free night certificate even if you need a minimum 2-night stay. And Hyatt makes that very easy to do.
Yeah, that's a great point. And similarly with Hilton, where you generally need to book your free night certificates one night at a time. When you call or chat with Hilton to apply your free nights, as long as you have enough points and or free night certificates to book like 3 nights in a row, if that's required at the hotel you're looking at, you can still book that, even though the certificates are sort of applied one at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Marriott also makes it easy, by the way, to customize and use a free night certificate for one night or points for another night, et cetera. So another
right.
Another one.
All right. Last thing I'm going to show is new hotels get added to these programs all the time, and sometimes you won't be able to find that new hotel in Rooms.Aero because it hasn't been added yet. And one of the great things here is they make it super easy to add it yourself. It
Hmm.
it shows you that you just pull up the hotel's website and it shows you that to look for the URL to look kind of like this. It has a strange code before a dash and then the name of the hotel, and so it says pull out that code, put it up here, and tell them you're not a robot, and click request hotel, and boom, gets added to the system. By the next day, you should be able to start searching it.
That's awesome. That's great. So there's a new property that comes out. You can be the person to help add it here so that we can all find it later on. So thank you to whoever added the Detroit Marriott Airport Hotel and gave us that example.